three breaking stories to start this hour, all of them involving President-elect Trump. First, two major legal victories for him. Special counsel Jack Smith ending the federal election subversion case against the president-elect. And then just moments later, Smith said he is also dropping the federal classified document case against Trump. Also breaking this afternoon, a CNN exclusive. One of Trump's closest advisors now under investigation by Trump's own attorneys. Sources tell CNN the top aide is facing allegations of using his ties to Trump for financial gain. Let's get right to that CNN exclusive with CNN Sarah Murray and Kristen Holmes joining us now. So Sarah, in terms of what we're looking at here, first of all, who is the Trump aide? What is he accused of doing?
Yeah, well, this is Boris Epshteyn, who's been a longtime aide to Donald Trump and has acted as a legal advisor for him as well over the years. And basically, lawyers who are running this internal investigation have claimed that Epshteyn tried to gain financially from his influence with Trump and others in the Trump world. You know, there are two specific instances we learned about from sources involved in this investigation, around this investigation, and one of them was that Epshteyn tried to ask Scott Bessent, Donald Trump's pick to be the Treasury Secretary, for payment in exchange essentially for Epshteyn promoting Bessent's name around Mar-a-Lago as well as with Trump. There was another instance when Epshteyn asked for payment allegedly from someone and said he would connect him with people relevant to his industry in the incoming administration. Now, half a dozen sources confirmed this internal investigation to me, Kristen Holmes, our colleague Kate Sullivan. It's not a criminal investigation. This is an internal investigation that attorneys for Donald Trump have been running, but they were concerned enough about their findings to recommend that Epshteyn should be removed from Trump's orbit. Now, here is what Epshteyn had to say about all of this. He said in a statement to CNN, "I am honored to work for President Trump and with his team. These fake claims are false and defamatory and will not distract us from making America great again."
So as we have all that, Kristen, you have this exclusive reporting as well, noting that Epshteyn was involved in two shouting matches, including one involving Elon Musk. Tell us more about the tension, the divisiveness there.
Yeah, it's certainly feeling like a drama-filled Mar-a-Lago because both of these occurred at that beach resort. One of them, again, between Elon Musk and Boris Epshteyn. The thing that was so interesting about this when we were reporting out this story is that a number of the people we talked to said it was Elon Musk himself who had raised these issues and allegations against Boris, and that was apparently what happened when they were having this confrontation. Elon Musk leveling accusations at Boris at everything from allegations on pay for play, but also leaking information. The second outburst or kind of confrontation that we learned about from several witnesses at Mar-a-Lago was between Bessent and Elon Musk, and it was, Bessent and Boris Epshteyn, with Epshteyn shouting at Bessent, essentially saying he was going to sue him at some point. So a lot of wild times over at Mar-a-Lago goes to show you that even though they're having a more orderly transition, some of the knife wielding is clearly still going on.
And just give us a sense of how close, Kristen, Epshteyn and Trump have become over the years and how this all plays in, too, as well as with the transition team.
Well, he is a staple by Donald Trump's side. He has been sitting in on some of the most critical transition meetings, even though he doesn't really have an official role. He is credited with raising Matt Gaetz's name to Trump and really getting that out there. Obviously, Gaetz has now withdrawn that name. He also helped staff the Justice Department jobs as well as the White House counsel job. These are all things that some of the newcomers into Trump's circle have been surprised about how much influence that Boris Epshteyn has. Now, the other thing to note here is that the transition says, yes, this internal investigation happened and we are all moving forward together, but we did just see this. This was an interview Donald Trump did, and he was asked about it on a conservative outlet. And I want to read you what he said, because it certainly doesn't sound as kumbaya as what we got from the transition. It says, "I suppose every president has people around them who try to make money off them on the outside. It's a shame, but it happens. But no one working for me in any capacity should be looking to make money. They should only be here to make America great again. No one can promise any endorsement or nomination except me. I make these decisions on my own, period." So obviously you can look into that and what you will. Transition says they're moving forward, but now we know for certain this has been brought to Donald Trump's attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Kristen Holmes, Sarah Murray, thank you both for the reporting. Well, the other major development involving President-elect Trump, special counsel Jack Smith says he is ending both the January 6 election subversion case and the classified documents case. CNN Chief Legal Affairs correspondent Paula Reed is with me now. So, Paula, walk us through what Smith said in this filing and what it means ultimately.
Erica, is fascinating. Smith acknowledges that this is an unprecedented situation that he found himself in, saying, quote, "The Department of Justice and the country have never faced the circumstance here when a defendant is elected president." And they had asked for more time to reflect on what exactly the next move would be here. CNN has reported that Smith had been talking to top leaders at the Justice Department to discuss how exactly they should proceed with winding down their cases. Now, there's internal guidance in the Justice Department that says you cannot indict or prosecute a sitting president, but it wasn't clear if that applied to a president-elect. But after weeks of discussions, they have concluded that, in fact, it does apply to a president-elect, and, quote, "This prosecution must be dismissed before the defendant is inaugurated." But Smith is quick to point out that this does not reflect the merit of their work and of these cases, and he defended the prosecutions that they have tried to bring against Trump, saying that this decision does not turn on the gravity of the crimes charged, the strength of the government's proof, or the merits of the prosecution, which the government stands fully behind. Now, that was all related to the D.C. case. They're also moving to dismiss the classified documents case against Trump, but they will continue to prosecute his two co-defendants because, of course, they are not presidents-elect. And it'll be fascinating, Erica, to see what the Trump Justice Department does with this case, because a Trump-appointed judge, Eileen Cannon, had tossed the classified documents case, saying that special counsel Jack Smith was not properly appointed. So when the Trump Justice Department comes in, if they want to appoint their own special counsels to look into politically sensitive topics, they're going to have to contend with the fact that you do have this outstanding decision. So we'll be watching closely to see if Trump pardons his co-defendants, if they try to dismiss that case, or if they continue to fight this issue and protect their right to appoint special counsels. This is going to be a key issue to watch for the incoming Attorney General.
Yeah, we will certainly be watching for that one, Paula. Also, in terms of dropping, and you alluded to this, but dropping the charges against the president-elect without prejudice, as you pointed out, he's saying he believes there's still something here. Does that actually keep the door open, though, for charges that could, in theory, be brought in the future, which would be several years in the future?
Ever so slightly, Erica, but I'm pretty sure that Trump's attorneys are going to advise him to pardon himself. And speaking with sources inside the Justice Department for about a decade now about the possibility of preemptive pardons, there is a belief that that pardon power is absolute and that a president could preemptively pardon themselves. So yes, there's always a possibility, but I would certainly expect that his lawyers would advise him for a number of reasons to preemptively pardon himself to prevent any of these federal cases from coming back. And of course, there's no pardon he can give himself that will protect him from any state cases that are still lingering once he's out of office.
Yes, that is true, as we keep our eyes on Georgia. Paula Reed, appreciate it. Thank you. Also with us this hour, Adam Kinzinger, former Republican congressman of Illinois, and of course a member of the January 6th committee, and Bill Brennan, former Trump Organization attorney. It's good to see both of you this afternoon. So Bill, starting with you, as we look at this, Jack Smith had a whole lot of testimony and evidence here. What are the chances the American public sees some of that information he collected? Will we see a report?
Well, I mean, a special counsel often issues a report, but this, as Mr. Smith admits, is unprecedented, uncharted waters. So the defendant is now the president-elect of the United States. This is the right thing to do. This country needs to move forward. President Trump needs to govern this nation. If we just look back to the Clinton administration and see how distracting it was for Ken Starr to continue to prosecute President Clinton over a personal indiscretion, history shows us that these issues pale in comparison to the larger issues of running the country. So it's the right thing to do.
Congressman, when you look at this, you, of course, sat on the January 6th committee, which did make a criminal referral to the Justice Department regarding Trump's actions on the day of the riot. You're going to have plenty of people who feel justice was not served. What's your reaction to where we stand at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, justice wasn't served. I mean, I guess, as a member of the January 6th committee, we can take pride in the fact that we are the only basically historic record. And I guarantee you that in 10 years, America's going to learn the truth about January 6th, and nobody's going to think Donald Trump was in the right. So I take pride in that. But look, the Supreme Court made it very clear It was very clear that if Donald Trump won again, that these cases would be dropped. In fact, that's why the Trump campaign, or Donald Trump as a defendant, was stalling as long as he was by the chance that he would win again. So America made this decision. They made the decision that Donald Trump shouldn't be held accountable. In essence, they made a decision they want a king. And that's America's decision to make. Now, I would just encourage everybody to remember, if the shoe ever gets on the other foot in the next 10 or 15, 20 years, and it's the Democrats doing this, this is a decision that was made by Republicans. And so that's interesting. By the way, Bill Clinton's indiscretion was not a personal indiscretion. There was a 19-year-old intern in the Oval Office. And I think it's important that we remind people that presidents aren't above the law, even if this case is dismissed. But unfortunately, it seems right now that they are.